It's time to reveal all the info on the new Brawler, Nani.
Nani?
That's right.
お前は
No, not
も
the
う死ん
super.
でいる。
Let's go. Now Nani is the new epic Brawler robot in Brawl Stars. It's going to be one of the highest skill cap brawlers in the game, unquestionably. Now, we're going to go over all the info about Nani, putting her in a tier for every mode, going over crazy mechanics with her, and more. So make sure you stick around to see it all. Now, Nani comes complete with voice lines already, as they've been doing with a lot of new brawlers. Nani loves her friends, that's right, it's a she robot, and looks over them with a watchful lens. She handles threats with angled shots, and her super allows Nani to communicate with her pal Peep, the little floating robot who goes out with a bang. Since you might be wondering, here are a few of her voice lines.
Recording. You okay? Oh, my bad. Let's go have a look-see. I'm so sorry.
Oh, and here's her losing animation. Kind of cute. All right, let's dive into her stats. Now, Nani, one of the lower health brawlers in the game, not quite as low as Tick, but 3,360, same level as Barley and those like. Now, Nani can do a lot of damage if all 3 shots are connecting, doing almost 3,000 damage if all 3 orbs connect. I'll show you the attack in a moment here. It's a pretty complex attack. Now, the super can also do a lot of damage, doing almost 3,000, and I'll show you later, but it actually has a star power to buff that almost twice as much. But more importantly about the super is you control it remotely. Once you use the super, you can direct it to whatever you want to go. All right, here we are in Training Cave, so you can see it all. First of all, when you use Nani's attack, you can direct exactly where it's going to go, kind of like a thrower, and you can see each orb will change exactly how wide the attack is depending on how close and far away you're aiming. Now, the super charges in 8 hits of her attack, and let me show you the super. It's quite crazy. Once you use it, Nani just is stuck wherever she is, and she controls her robot, and boom, it has an explosion. Now, the one, of course, that puts you very vulnerable, right? But another instance is it's not that hard to control, but one thing is it can't go through obstacles. So if you hit a wall, guess what? Sorry, you kind of wasted your super, or maybe you were trying to blow up the wall, I guess, because then you broke walls, but that's it. All right, now let's quickly dive into some comparisons with other brawlers to see how she stacks up. Now, looking at Nani's range, you can see here it's quite similar to Colt's range at the maximum distance, and the width is a little bit wider than Tara's shot. Now, one thing to note with Nani's attack is you can attack around walls with the angled shot, and that's going to be pretty good for scouting any bushes around walls. But with only a little bit less than 1,000 damage per shot, it's not a great way to attack an enemy. Now let's take a look at Nani's reload speed. You are going to see it is quite slow. One of the slowest reload speeds in the game. Not quite as slow as Piper's, but it is pretty close. Now let's go into the star power and gadget in a second here, but really quickly, just want to show how easy or hard it is to shoot around walls. It's actually not that crazy hard to shoot around walls, but you're going to find with Nani, it's really difficult to aim attacks on moving targets and hit all 3 orbs, which is really what you want, because when you do that, 3,000 damage, that's a lot. But often you find you either deal 3,000 or 1,000, or, I mean, I'm rounding up here, but that's basically what it's going to be with Nani. So a lot of times it's going to feel like she doesn't do much damage, because with moving targets, it's going to be difficult. But maybe after using her a lot, maybe we'll get pretty good at aiming her, but we'll have to find out. All right, now for her gadgets and star powers. First of all, her gadget allows her to teleport to wherever her super currently is. Now, it says it detonates Peep. You might think, oh, so when I use it, it's still going to get the explosion damage and I'll teleport there. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You don't get the explosion damage, you just teleport there. So it's going to be really useful for like escaping if you need it, although it's not a good instant escape. It's more like a sneaky escape, like you're in the bushes and then you do that, unless you have a specific star power, and then it can be a sneaky escape. But it could be really good. Say you're in Heist and you just spawn, you can go ahead and use her super and go all the way to the other side of the map, provided you don't hit a wall or an enemy causing her super to explode. And of course, now we can have the real teleport behind someone. Nani?
Omewa Shindoru!
moments. All right, her star powers. First of all, autofocus is going to be crazy good, in my opinion, which allows Peep to deal up to 2,500 extra damage with her super based on the travel distance that it goes. So the further it travels, the more damage it does. Now, it can be quite hard to do a lot more damage, but even allowing it to deal over 3,000 damage or getting closer to 4,000 damage can allow for easy kills, and you can technically hit two people, but they got to be grouped up next to each other. But still, like in Bounty, this is going to be a really good star power to have. Now, the other star power is crazy defensive, but I'm not quite sure how good it is. I've only, of course, faced bots, so it's a little harder to tell because, you know, bots kind of suck, right? But it gives her an 80% shield whenever she's using her super. I mean, one thing with Nani you're going to find, if you don't have this star power, it's kind of risky to use her super. You want to basically go in the grass and be hidden, and if you're going a far distance and you're out in the open, there's probably a good chance you will die unless you're like at your spawn or something and no one is near you. Oh, by the way, if you use her super and then you die while it's active, the super disappears as well. You can't just keep controlling it until it explodes. But with this, you could do something crazy aggressive. Maybe you really need to escape, and you can have this star power and you can teleport away and not take too much damage while you're out in the open using her super. That kind of seems like the really only good use for this star power, so I think I'd mostly rather prefer autofocus for the crazy extra damage, but maybe after some use there'll be a specific scenario for this versus actually good opponent. Now, I do want to talk about what brawlers Nani is going to match up well against and what brawler she's going to really want to avoid. But first, let's talk about how good she really is and what modes you're going to want to play her in. All right, now let's quickly put her in a tier for every game mode. Now, my main problem with Nani is honestly, it's just pretty dang hard to consistently hit shots and deal a lot of damage. And that combined with her slow reload speed makes it difficult for her to deal much damage overall. Now, maybe we get way better with Nani after playing her for a couple weeks, and my opinion will change, and I'll talk about that. But let's go into it. Gem Grab, I think she's a C tier brawler. Her low health makes it hard for her to be able to do a lot. She can be a high damage brawler if all three shots are hitting right, and she can target gem carriers with her super. That could be quite good if you're really able to hit shots. Maybe she's more of a B tier brawler, but I don't think she fits the role as a gem carrier with her low health, and I think she isn't consistent enough to be a good support brawler either. Now, I think her worst mode is probably Solo Showdown. Her low health and combined with the inconsistency of her shots makes it not that great. So I have her as a D tier in Solo Showdown, but if you have her second star power, the one that shields her as she supers, and you have her gadget, I think she's more of a C tier brawler because then you can have an emergency escape with that super. But otherwise, I don't think you have that emergency escape because she's a sitting duck and it takes a while to actually get far enough away to escape from anyone. Now, Duo Showdown, I have her as a C tier. I think she's slightly better in Duo than Solo. And again, if you have her gadget and her second star power, you can maybe have a little bit of escapability for yourself and your team, but I don't think it's that amazing, and I don't really think she's going to be that strong in duos, as I said earlier. Now, Heist might be Nani's best game mode. I think she could be quite a good defender since you know where enemies are trying to go. You might be able to predict your shots a little better and be more consistent with her damage. Also, her gadget could allow her to go all the way up the map and do sneak past all the enemies and do 9,000 damage on the enemy safe pretty quickly, or even more, which can definitely be good. So I have her as A tier in Heist, and I think it's definitely her best mode. Now, Bounty, I think Nani's gonna be not bad in. Her super is going to be really, really good in Bounty, especially combined with her first star power, allowing it to do massive damage. Just get somewhere safe, use her super, and you might be able to get a really easy kill as long as you hit someone, right? But the question is going to be, how easy is it going to be to charge her super? And in general, are you going to be putting yourself at a lot of risk with her low health trying to do so? If you can consistently hit shots with Nani, I think she's A tier in Bounty, but probably for most people she's more of a B tier brawler in my opinion. Now, in Brawl Ball, I have Nani as a C tier brawler. I just think she's not consistent enough, dealing enough damage to really be that great, especially with her low health. Maybe if you're hitting a lot of shots with Nani, she can be more of a B tier, but that's probably it. Now, in Siege, I think Nani is again more of a C tier brawler, and if you're hitting a lot of shots, B tier. You can maybe guess where enemies are going a little bit easier with knowing where bolts spawn, and they're probably going for those, but really I think it's going to be hard for her to 1v1 a lot of other brawlers unless you can really aim her shot well. Her super could have some good uses for it, and she does a lot of damage versus the robot boss, so she can melt it slightly quickly, although her reload is kind of slow. Now Hot Zone, I think Nani is a B tier brawler. Since you know where enemies are trying to go, it shouldn't be crazy difficult to predict shots, but standing in the zone with such low health is going to be really risky for her, and she will die quite easily. So that is definitely a problem. If you had a lot of shots, maybe she can be A tier. And the other thing that I think is good with Nani in Hot Zone is if you have cleared enemies around you and you're in a zone, you can attack the other zone with your super from a crazy far distance, and that can help you and your teammates capture the other zone. So that's pretty good. Now overall, I think Nani is a C tier brawler. She just doesn't consistently hit enough shots to be that amazing. But maybe we get really good with her and we can hit shots more often, and then she's more like a B tier brawler in my opinion. But maybe she gets a buff before she comes out, like a reload speed buff, I think would be good. And then she might be an A tier brawler. But again, it's going to depend on how easy or hard we're able to hit her shot. Are now brawlers to go after with Nani and brawlers you probably want to avoid. First of all, with her low health and not crazy long range, you probably want to avoid any long range snipers like Piper, Brock, even Colt to a degree, and Rico as well. Those brawlers are going to melt Nani with her low health, and unless you get really lucky and hit all three of her orbs and then get another attack on someone, it's going to be difficult. But those are also good brawlers to target with her super. So if you can attack other brawlers to charge up your super and then go after those low health brawlers with her super, you're in a good spot. So with Nani, you want to be going after like medium health brawlers and medium range brawlers, so you can charge up your super without taking too much damage, and they're also at a good range for you to hit all three attacks. Also, not to mention, if you can surprise those enemies, Nani, with their almost 3,000 damage, you can just go point blank, auto aim, and melt them, kind of like a Shelly. Other brawlers to avoid are any fast move speed brawlers. Those are going to be hard for Nani to really hit her shots with, which is going to be a big problem since it's already kind of hard to do that in the first place. So Mortis definitely avoid. Daryl, Frank with super high health as well is going to be difficult. El Primo too, probably. Even Crow might be kind of difficult. Even though Crow is low health, with a really fast move speed, you might have to get lucky to hit enough damage to get the kill. Oh, by the way, Nani will be released in-game on Saturday, June 6th. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. I do hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope everyone is doing well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.